I've ranted before about how much I am not a fan of the growing world of weed culture. And it just got a bit more cringy, folks,
Oh.
because as broken by TMZ Sports, Hulk Hogan
Oh.
now has a brand of mushrooms, THC, and cannabinoids. So I guess that's like CBD stuff.
Are mushrooms legal?
They are increasingly getting legalized. Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
Maybe like
there's
in
actually a lot
Colorado?
of they're legal in Colorado. They're decriminalized in a bunch of states. They're like the next thing to get legalized, which I think is great. And what's really interesting is now there's exploration. You know how like the stereotypical positive hallucinogenic experience with mushrooms would be like, oh, I really like I felt so great, and I discovered myself. So now doctors are studying microdosing them so you can get some of the positive mental stimulation without the hallucinogenic effects. So it's pretty interesting where it's going. It's being used as a natural treatment for things like depression and anxiety.
Feeling like a pig before sex.
So there are actual uses for it, but then also with things being legal, as Deuterino pointed out in our chat, that they're also legal in Oregon. I believe all drugs are legal in Oregon. Oregon made all drugs legal because they don't want to
crack.
Yeah, you can't get arrested for like drug possession anymore. It's more about because they don't want to put drug addicts into the prison system. They'd rather get them help. That's kind of the idea behind it. Shifty Shortcake says, "Say your prayers, smoke your weed." Doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
It's more honest, though.
You don't have to smoke the weed. You could also consume a gummy. You know, it's not necessarily a smokable.
Yeah, that's like a vitamin. It's like a Flintstone vitamin.
If you are trying to use it as a medicine, there are medicinal ways to do it where you're not inhaling carcinogens. But anyway, so Hogan is now promoting a new line. So here's how I saw this working. Is Mike Tyson was the guy to license his name because he has a brand of weed products. And to be clear, it's not like Mike Tyson woke up one day and was like, I want to make a dent in the cannabis industry. That's not what happened. It's what happened was a guy with a big ass fucking cannabis brand got drunk with Mike Tyson at a bar one day and was like, I will give you this amount of money to put your name on my brand of weed and free weed, probably.
So why not?
Like, sure. Yeah, sure. And then after that, Mike got his friend, Ric Flair, to do like a flavor in the Mike Tyson brand of weed. And so Ric Flair had a flavor, and I can't tell, like Ric Flair has been posting these Instagram reels of him smoking a doob with Mike Tyson, and I've never felt more cringed.
Really?
Like it feels so, like, I don't know, I feel like I should think this is cool, but I don't.
Not even when we read your live journal?
More cringe than that, yes, because I just don't believe that Ric Flair is a pothead. You know, he strikes me as more of a coke guy.
I sympathize with that. I think
coke
that's
and alcohol, not a pothead. So I feel he's like a poser.
Yeah, I don't think it's like he never smoked weed.
I'm sure he did, but it's just not his go-to.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe it is in his old age.
Maybe it's true. Well, now,
but he's selling it on the strength of being Ric Flair. You know, like Ric Flair knows weed and everything, and like I definitely see him as more of an alcohol and cocaine guy.
Well, now I guess Ric Flair was telling his good friend, and they are good friends, Hulk Hogan, how much money he was making with this weed licensing. And since nobody really wants to fucking talk to Hulk Hogan, he's like, yeah, I need some money. I'll do some weed licensing. And so now Hulk Hogan went on TMZ. Here's an example of like a cringe thing I'm talking about here. Here he is with his son-in-law on a video that looks like it was filmed on like a Nokia from 2005.
Oh, this is Ric Flair.
This is Ric Flair, yeah.
Go woo on a bitch. Woo! Manny, you're the man.
Hold on, we'll let it play back. Play back around. he's hyping his joints.
Who is the next boy? And the one and only Andrade, the man, the myth, the legend, smoking Ric Flair drip.
Son-in-law, by the way.
And his son-in-law Andrade, by the way, is just so like he's also a wrestler. So he has he's a second-generation wrestler. He has an immense amount of respect for Ric Flair, and it's very much the vibe of like I don't want to offend my wife's father. And I think this guy's such a wrestling legend. I'll just do whatever he says. And that's totally like this might be Andrade's like 5th time smoking weed ever. And he's just like, yeah, sure.
Really? You think a wrestler touring with a gigantic company doesn't have weed in his face all the time?
Yeah, right?
Well, they get fined for it. So
I bet they do.
They do.
Please.
They still do it. For many, they just considered it the pot tax. They had it like they're like, all right, this is what we got to pay to smoke weed on the road. But yeah, so you get it. Anyway, so here's Hulk Hogan announcing his weed brand, and let's see how he brings it up.
Hulk, you have obviously everyone knows who you are and what you've accomplished, and tell me if I have this wrong.
And who you fucked and who you made racist comments towards.
Why does the Hulkster need sunglasses on top of his head? He's indoors. It's daytime. Like what? I don't understand.
And is he a lot of
great points for this interview?
Is he face tuning himself again?
It looks like
there does not seem to be any face tune on this. I feel
it looks like a lot less wrinkles than I'm accustomed to with him.
I think it's just the compression of the webcam image.
Also, just look at the face he's making. It's like he's on a Zoom session with Ellison whacking off. He's like sexually delighted to see something right now. Yeah. This is not like business Hulk. This is bedroom Hulk we're getting right now.
Bedroom eyes.
Wrong, Hulk. You are getting into business with one.
Or he's just that high.
Guys who has really taken over the marijuana and the CBD industry in Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, I am. Mike and Ric Flair.
Mike and Rick, right? Your buddy Ric Flair.
We're getting together. We're the Three Musketeers now.
Yeah. What do you have going on? I know you have
money. It's money. It's all about money.
I just want to say, like, to make a little aside here, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair famously both inside the ring and out behind the scenes hated each other for a long time, and I find it so ironic and sad and pathetic how they're just the same guy. And they alienated everyone in their lives, and the only people they have now is each other.
It's totally that. You've nailed it. They were so competitive with each other during their primes that they would never be seen in the same room with each other and couldn't stand each other. But then they came to realize, like, oh, we have all the same insecurities.
Yeah, we're the same person.
And also Hulk Hogan, like Ric Flair's biggest insecurity in his life was always that Hulk Hogan was ranked #1 as like the best wrestler and he was ranked #2. And he felt that was unfair because to wrestlers would say he was the better wrestler.
Hogan was the more famous.
Right. He drew more box office. He made more money. But also because he was working for the bigger company. So it was always 1 and 2. And it was and Hogan would never agree that Flair was the better wrestler. Also, because Hogan, ironically, Flair brought Hogan into WCW, and then they had another wave of hatred because Hogan they would be politicking for the top spot. And it was only until after both got out of professional wrestling full time that Hogan finally started being like, yes, Flair's the best wrestler. And I think the only reason he says that is he knows that Flair would not be his friend unless he admitted that. And like he realizes at this point it doesn't matter. Right. Like he's already made the money. So sure, I can acknowledge you as the best wrestler.
Yeah. And the thing about making the money versus being the best in-ring wrestler, I think among wrestlers, at least maybe not so much recently, but over the past 30 years or so, that was always considered a mark thing, like among wrestlers. They were like, okay, you're a great wrestler at this thing that we're doing that's fake, that, we're predetermined, but I'm drawing more money. So which one matters more, So to sit there and be mad.
What is the true mark of a great wrestler? Someone that has a good match or someone that draws the most money?
Right.
Yeah. So let's hear more of Hogan's logic here. This is like going to Ja Rule for political.
Where's Ja?
of a new line. It's not just CBD, THC as well, and also mushrooms, which I know is something that a lot of people have been getting into lately. So why don't you tell us what you have going on, Hulk?
Well, across the board.
Man, I just want to pause 1 second. Watching Hoke squint to like see and understand, because clearly he wears glasses, and to see what's going on and hear this, and just seeing him in his old age, it's so hard for me to see. You know, like it's hard for me to watch.
It's a miracle he's still alive. Be happy that he's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
I'm afraid to like. Oh, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask who the guy who's sitting with him is.
That's probably the actual billionaire who runs the fucking weed company. To
really,
answer the technical
billionaire?
stuff.
I don't know.
Well, whatever. A millionaire, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy with the money mark.
I was gonna say, like I sort of reluctant to admit, but I kind of identify with Hulk Hogan in one way, and that's that he never stopped being like 27 years old. You know what I mean? And it worries me. Like if I'm gonna be 71 like him and like just still mentally in my 20s, you know, because it's very cringy.
But like, how do you want to be at 71? What would be your preference then, if not that way?
I'd like to be, you know, keep discovering myself and adding new things to my repertoire, unlike Hulk Hogan. I mean, Hulk Hogan just kind of floats through life looking for adulation and attention.
But he adds new weed promotions and restaurants. He added a karaoke night.
He's doing karaoke night.
He added a
That wasn't
bikini
in his repertoire
contest.
10 years ago.
Okay, fair enough. Good for him.
I think honestly, yeah, like if anything, Hogan is becoming more and more desperate. He's realizing that his claim to fame and his like hold on fame is ever fleeting,
Right.
and he's trying to recapture it any which way he can, especially after the misunderstanding with what he said.
There's eventually going to be a point where he's like Karl Gotch, you know, and nobody knows who the fuck he is except as like a dusty reference that people throw out there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of. I think with wrestling,
Eventually.
the last few times he's been in front of the crowd in WWE, people have booed him. Like
Yeah.
a lot of
Wow.
people don't remember who he was. They just know about the stories.
They know. Well, think about it. If you're like a 25-year-old wrestling fan, what do you know of Hulk Hogan? You're immersed in the first thing you may have learned about him was that he's a racist.
And if you go back on YouTube and like watch his classic matches, like it's not like you're going to be blown away by anything. You're just going to be like, this guy in his prime was bald and couldn't wrestle. Like, why was he so famous?
You definitely needed the context of the times and the storyline, and in that context, it definitely works. Like I'll never detract from what Hulk Hogan did, but you're right. If you just watch a clip, you don't get the full impact of why he was important at all.
Not at all.
Deuterino says his coffers aren't so deep anymore. I would disagree with that just because he won a $125 million lawsuit from Gawker Media. So
See, Rob,
money-wise, he's probably doing okay.
You and I have gone back and forth on this. I listen. The guy's not living in under a bridge. I get that, but he may have blown through an awful lot of that money.
I'm just saying, like, he could not be in front of the camera.
Did he get all of that money?
No, absolutely not. Because
did Linda get some
a lot
of
it? No. Wait, what? Linda?
Bubba?
Oh, his wife. Oh, no,
Bubba
that was
Love
already
Sponge?
after his divorce.
Oh, she doesn't get future earnings.
Oh, I'm not sure if he pays her alimony. I mean, he gave her half of all of his money.
And his kids, I'm sure, take a shit ton of his money.
He gave her half of his kids.
I'm sure she could have all of them if he wants.
All right, well, let's see a little more of this Hulk Hogan THC.
Hulk Hogan.
The board, you know, it's a fitness and wellness journey. And in the last 10 years, I've had 28 surgeries. It's just been insane. And from everything I've been through, you know, the pain and the inflammation and the prescriptions of doctors.
And feeling like a fat pig, brother.
Training prayers and eat your vitamins kind of get rattled a little bit. So
use the line. Hold on.
The doctor, 10 years, I've had 28 surgeries. It's just been insane. And from everything I've been through, you know, the pain and the inflammation and the prescriptions the doctors would give you, that whole training prayers and eat your vitamins kind of get rattled a little bit.
Well, that's the new training prayers and vitamins. It's the inflammation, the pain, and all the surgeries. That's the new slogan.
Back to get back to center, to get back to health again. And, you know, when I saw what Rick and Mike were doing, I instantly wanted to get on the team because to use CDB for energy,
CDB,
sleep, you know, for fitness, you know, it just made sense. It's a logical extension.
The poor
of where
guy
I
on the
already
right
was,
there.
but this is the safe
CBD,
way
this
to
schmuck.
fix
What did I
things
get myself
instead
into?
of that wild card way from the doctors and the
Right.
prescription stuff. It just didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, has this been helpful, Hulk? Obviously, the surgeries, what your body has been through, has been well documented, and we know that these pain pills are so incredibly addicting and so dangerous.
If I was this announcer, I'd just keep
Has
trolling him and say,
CBD and
ask
has
him
THC
CDB
made
questions.
a big difference.
Just
in
ask
how
him what
you
it
feel on
stands for. Real quick, Hulk. THC. What's that?
We were
day
joking
in, day
around
out
in the
physically?
Discord that he's in a few weeks he's going to claim that he invented the pot plant.
Well, it definitely helped me because, as I said, the slow walk back from the prescription drugs ended with me downing the Tylenols and the Advils and the Aleve, and finally, even that wasn't working for me. So, as I moved away from that and got into the CBD world, it really changed the game.
The guy kicked him under the table.
The inflammation, the way my wrists and my joints hurt across the board, helped me with my health.
Chad, how about getting into a business with a guy like Hulk? We know how big the partnership with Mike has been, and with Rick too. How about getting into it with the guy who you might be the greatest and the most famous wrestler to ever step foot in the ring?
Listen, you know what I've learned. You being at TMZ, you've dealt with a lot of celebrities. We work with Mike and Rick, and spending time with Hulk over the past several months. Like, they're a different breed in the sense of how they treat people. Right? They're hardworking. They
take their penises out whenever they want.
Actually work and make sure that if their name's on it, they're hustling it and making sure that people understand the value. And I think, it gives the cannabis space, the CBD space, the mushroom space, they're destigmatizing it because you're seeing a lot more sports organizations like the NBA. The NBA is now coming out and saying that you can use THC, right? And CBD is now sponsoring.
It's crazy
PFL.
that it's taking.
So you're going to see more. UFC is more open to it. So more and more organizations are getting involved in the fact that how they help people. And so working with Hulk, working with Rick, and working with Mike has been amazing. And we're excited. And, we're going to continue.
Hulk really looks like he's getting jerked off
there for the first time.
Oh,
is there a place for these products, and could they be useful amongst active professional wrestlers?
Well, in my opinion, yes. I mean, I always joke about I didn't get the memo that this stuff was fake. And after the 10 back surgeries and 2 knees and 2 hips, it's just a situation.
I actually beat the Ultimate Warrior, brother.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to beat Andre, dude, until we got out to the ring, brother.
I just picked him up and slammed him down, Jack. That was just my job. No one told me he was going to lay down for me, brother. I don't know what RIP stands for, but CDB stands for calzone bloated depression.
Get hurt out there all the time, especially the first 20 years. I never put my hand up. And when I went back to wrestle The Rock, Vince McMahon goes, well, if you're going to get a chair shot, you got to put your hand up. I said, why? Because I always took it wide open, so the brain fog.
How many chair shots did Hulk
ever taken? He's never taken a fucking shit. Get out of here.
That's honestly, if he was more honest, he could be like, listen, I am proof at how brutal the wrestling industry is because I never did anything in my matches and I'm still a physical mess now. Well, that's how bad it is.
I think he wants to go the other way with it and say he got fucking CTE from a chair shot, and that's why I said the N-word 100 times.
Very clever.
That's a good point. But he did say that the reason that he's had to have 7 hip surgeries is because a 30 years of dropping on his hip doing the leg drop.
Oh, get out of here. He's landing on soft people underneath him.
No, he's not. He's landing on the mat. And the mat is just like a piece of...
Sid, he was landing on very hard people underneath him.
Well, just the Sheik that one time.
Gave me clarity and straightened things up for me. I feel better than I've ever felt at 69 years old. I feel like I'm 25 again.
Wow.
Nice.
So at the end of the day...
Oh, look, he feels like he's 25 again there.
Yeah,
just like you said.
The wrestlers
but
now,
I don't believe that because he's talking about physically. Mentally, yes.
Especially now, as hard as they're running, they do more stuff in the ring in one match than I did in a whole month. And just tearing their
No,
bodies
okay,
up
that's
and working
a little bit
really
of
hard.
honesty
So I think
there.
it
A
definitely
month
helps
is
the whole
generous.
Yeah.
I think also the component of sleeping, right? A lot of
Yeah.
professional athletes with the pressure they're under, they don't sleep. So their health and wellness is about bringing different
Hogan's
components to your
glare when
day
he's not
that all
talking is
play
really
hand in hand with each
uncomfortable.
other.
It
Like,
really,
just to
I'm
look at
telling
him.
you, it's like he's
that
watching
we've
people
seen-
fuck.
I can't
He's
speak
just
for
always
Hulk,
been,
but I'm
even
guessing it's
young,
like you, but
he's
with Rick,
a
too, like,
very
you got-
strange person to look at.
Yes. Oh, it's a smile.
Oh,
Oh,
it's a very
Eric.
off-putting face.
fog. That's
The
some other
handlebar
prescription
mustache,
drugs
like-
we give you.
The handlebar is very
bandana.
well manicured. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just over the lip. Like, no one hair longer than another.
I can
I wonder how often he
appreciate
trims it.
I can appreciate the craftsmanship while also saying that it's hideous to look at.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
yes.
It's a bad choice.
But can you imagine what he would look like without it at this point? He would look even older.
Well, that's why he feels he has to keep it. He can't change
Yeah.
anything about his appearance because he's afraid people would look at him funny.
He will look like an old man. Did you ever see those Photoshop pictures of like Trump without any of the tan or anything,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the hair
Yeah.
piece? That's what
You
Hulk
sort of
Hogan
lock
would look.
yourself in. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Flair hasn't slept for about 30 years.
He's sleeping better now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that,
did
he
you ever
needs
think
the
Hulk that
THC after a night of cocaine.
Yeah.
Any
I think
any
that's
one of
what it
those
is.
sleeps could be the last one, so you gotta be careful.
Oh, he even throws a
Oh,
bicep. Hold
what
on.
is
guys.
this?
You're 70 and
What?
say, hey, I feel
Stop.
better than I felt in like 4 decades. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Well, I mean, I train a couple hours every day, so
Oh,
Hey,
boy.
it's like it's still there, it's still there, and I feel
No, it's not.
I don't train. It's who I am.
Right.
But to train through the injuries, it's always been tough. But to have the CDB
He
reduce
has
the
the
inflammation,
CDB.
reduce the pain, it's just so important. And when you're in pain, you got a grumpy face.
All right, I want to play this one other video of Ric Flair and Mike Tyson smoking weed because
Oh,
it
God.
makes me feel so uncomfortable.
Ric Flair drip.
Ric Flair drip is the name of the strain.
Oh,
Here we are.
it's what he leaves on flight attendants' foreheads.
This feels like a nightmare blunt rotation to me. I would not want to get high with this.
I'm afraid.
You don't want to put anything in your mouth that was in either of their mouths. You guaranteed herpes. Guaranteed herpes.
I feel like they'd have been treated for their herpes by
No.
now.
No.
No, you don't
What?
think they
That's
get
not a
tested?
tattoo on Tyson's face. That's the herpes
Oh, that's
flare up. It's just spreading because it's not treated.
Oh, I see.
It's horrible.
Sad. Do we want to watch a quick clip of him smoking weed with Rogan?
Which Flair or Tyson?
Flair.
Sure.
All my stuff here, ma'am. Oh, shit. Hey, woo choose. Woo choose. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Nervous just looking at them. Yeah. Oh, you got a drink? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put my name on anything.
That's just an energy drink. Oh, okay. Energy and focus. I need energy and focus. This is fucking tasty. What is this? Good? Isn't that good? Mushroom blend, it says? Yeah. What's in here? I don't know. Be careful reading all the
I
ingredients.
love that. What's in here? I don't know. They just fucking
Of
write
course
me a
they-
check.
Yeah.
And by the way, Flair is not drinking that. He's drinking a beer. And
He
he's
knows
got,
better.
I think he's got the tobacco.
Sparkling mushroom elixir. All right. How cool. And what's that? A pre-roll? Nice. I need to spark one up with Ric Flair. Let's do it. High flying. Yeah. Limousine riding.
Jet flying, dumb fuck.
I'm only having one here with you, man. Okay, buddy. That stuff is strong. That's the infused. It smells strong. Yeah. Jesus Christ. It smells like that stuff that Ron White had that put everybody into a coma. Yeah. It does me. Mike can smoke it like crazy. How's it taste? Good?
It's so sad that Flair is not a pothead, but he just has to smoke this stuff because it's like that's how he makes money. And he's like, all right, I'm just gonna go to bed.
I mean, there's worse
Little bit.
things to be
Yeah.
forced to do.
I mean, I guess it's for the best.
Cross this off my bucket list. Yeah.
I don't know, like I am a huge Ric Flair fan, despite knowing
Everything
what I knew
about
him. I don't know if I'd want to smoke weed with Ric Flair. It'd get really awkward, probably. I feel
Why?
I'd start feeling. I don't know. I don't know if that's something I want to do.
Because
Well, I
he's
think
too
it-
old, or
I think it might staunch any of the good qualities that Ric Flair has that you want to experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
It would shut him up,
him to be
probably.
in
You
a
know.
paranoia hole. Yeah, exactly.
I want to hear 2 hours of stories about Ole Anderson on the crapper. You know, I don't want. I don't want him taking a nap on the couch in the corner.
Dudorito says Hogan will say he was in a deleted scene for Up in Smoke. Yeah, he's the one that gave Cheech and Chong their ideas.
You know, brother, I was originally cast in a Dave Chappelle role at Half Baked, brother.
It was fully baked.
Yes. It was fully baked till they took me out of it, brother. Jack.
They offered him the Bob Saget part, and he balked.
Dude.
He's not saying those lines.
Yeah, in my other show, Canitro, where I watch every
Is
episode
that how
of
it's
Nitro.
said?
Yeah,
Okay.
the K is not silent.
Is it Knot Fest also?
No, it's not Fest, but we jokingly call it Canitro because the original show is called Nitro. So
Should call it Knot Fest.
Well, we on our show we call it Canot Fest Canitro for sure, but in the proper way, you don't say it.
So you're just
but anyway,
improper.
we're Hulk Hogan is the featured player on the first. I mean, throughout most of Nitro, and it is unbearable. Just like I can't imagine in 1995, like he's on his last breath as a baby face. This is right before the NWO turn, and and he just can't break the gimmick of saying like brother and dude. I want to just read
how he talks.
This we did a review, and like there's one monologue that he gives where he's talking about the Dungeon of Doom and how they've been really messing with his life. And he goes, I walk through the valley of the Dungeon of Doom, brother. I fear no evil, dude, because the only thing to fear is evil itself, brother.
Wait, what?
Is that
He
what Hulk
fears no evil because you should fear evil?
The only thing to fear is evil. He fucked up the line.
Is that when he put on all black and he got rid of the red
Yes.
and yellow and started
Yes.
he became
And then-
Dark Hulk?
But not real. The announcers
Right.
were saying he became Dark Hulk, but he
Supposedly.
acted completely the same other than changing his clothes. There was nothing dark about it.
Dude, I recommend that Dungeon of Doom angle to anybody. We watched one of the matches on our Patreon.
Yes.
But that whole angle from beginning to end is just chef's kiss. Wonderful.
It's so bad. It's actually good.
And it was assembled just exclusively to be a jobber stable that Hulk Hogan could beat the shit out of every single one of them, one after the other. It's hilarious. Who was that older dude that they got to be the Grand Wizard of the
Curtis Iakea, the wizard.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was just like, I'm Kevin Sullivan. You will do my bidding and destroy Hulk Hogan. It's just the best shit. It's amazing.